Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to touch on a topic that is highly prevalent to all of us, and that is cancer. And I want to start by saying, no, I am not a doctor. No, I am not an expert in cancer. No, I am not attempting to diagnose, treat, or cure any cancer. However, what I would like to do is share information that I've learned primarily over the past year or so from different books and research articles that I've read on the topic of cancer, since my focus is hugely in managing health and wellness and preventing disease with diet and lifestyle. I am also not here to downplay cancer or anything like that. So that is not my intent. I indeed had a scare in 2019 where I had to have a lump biopsied. I do know it's incredibly scary. I've had family members with cancer. So this is simply to inform and share information that could be helpful, that you and your friends and family may not know. So first and foremost, if you're like most people, you might believe that most cancer cases are genetic or inevitable. I've actually learned over the course of this year that a very, very small percentage of cancer cases and deaths are actually caused by genetics. So if you look at the statistics for breast cancer, only about 5 to 10% of breast cancer cases are caused by genetics, which means 90 to 95% of breast cancer cases are actually caused by other causes, nature, toxins, lifestyle, all of that. And in fact, if you take a woman lives in a certain geographic area, and this is found in the book, The China Study, he goes over this. If you live in one geographic location and that area has X percent rate of risk of cancer for women, for breast cancer, and you move that woman to another society, culture, so on and so forth, different area of the world, that woman actually assumes the cancer risk of the new location, whether that be higher or lower, which goes to show most breast cancer cases are caused by environmental causes. So if you look at other cancers like prostate cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, the average, from what I've seen, cause from genetics is only about 10%. Now, colorectal cancer had a range depending on the source that you looked at, but the highest estimate that I've seen is about 1/3. So you still have over 66% or 2/3 being caused by external factors. And in fact, there's an entire field of science called epigenetics. Now, epigenetics is basically the study of how genes are expressed, and basically our lifestyle, the things that we're exposed to, and what we put into our bodies can actually alter how our genes are expressed. So if we give our body a healthy, nurturing lifestyle, then those genes that are negative and cancer causing may not ever be expressed. So even if you have the genetic variants that can cause cancer, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an end all be all. We have the power to help form the health of our lives. Now, unfortunately, cancer can grow for over a decade without being noticed in the body. And that's why there is a huge push for early detection. Now, there are a couple arguments. So there are some arguments in literature that I've read that early detection may not actually improve outlook. And I can see both sides of this. It does keep people on medication longer, which makes more money. However, if you do find out earlier, you do have the ability to make the lifestyle changes that can help reverse cancer. And there's actually studies that have been done with food that have turned cancer growth on and off, which is absolutely crazy. It's also in the China study. I highly recommend it. It's super informative. But in addition to that, even on the American Cancer Society's website, they acknowledge that over 40% of cancer cases and 45% of cancer deaths can be prevented with diet and lifestyle. And factors that impact cancer are smoking, alcohol consumption, not eating enough high fiber foods, eating too much red meat and processed meat, different infections and viral infections, hepatitis, things like that can all lead to cancer. Now, none of this is meant to scare anyone at all. Rather, it should actually be empowering to know that we have control over these outcomes and we're not just here on earth waiting to encounter some sort of chronic disease that's one of the top killers in the United States. And we actually have the ability to set ourselves up for positive health outcomes, which is absolutely incredible. And it's amazing to know that we can actually work on prevention. Now, unfortunately, prevention gets the short end of the stick when it comes to funding. And if I believe my statistic is correct, I may be incorrect, but I believe it's 5% of less of all cancer funding goes toward prevention, because unfortunately, prevention and nutrition advice doesn't make any money. Now, if we can prevent chronic illness with nutrition, that's a big threat to the industry. So it's something to think about. And with something that kills over 600,000 people every year, and tens of millions of people are living and dying with cancer, or of cancer rather, you would think that more of a focus would be on cancer research prevention. But it's up to us to make sure that we have healthy diets and lifestyles to support a healthy future. But in fact, it should actually be empowering to know that we're not just destined to be subject to, our bodies just going rogue one day. We actually have a fair amount of power to influence our bodies and to have positive health outcomes as we age, which is absolutely incredible. And we have the ability to work toward prevention rather than reaction, which is fantastic. Speaking of prevention, and I believe the statistic was like 3 to 5% of cancer funding is actually allocated toward prevention. And that was either from the China study or Fit for Life by Harvey Diamond. I can't remember which book it was. And I tried to look up a more recent statistic, and it's difficult to find because they give you hints on to what the budget is, but not how much actually is allocated toward prevention. And you would think if over 600,000 Americans are dying every year of cancer, that more of a focus would be on prevention. However, diet and lifestyle and nutrition advice does not make any money. So if we don't need medication, that's a huge threat to the industry. But I think it's absolutely amazing that our choices can impact our health outcomes, and we do have the power to live healthy lives.